For all of you horror fans that say that the found footage genre and even possession movies are the worst for horror, you guys better be thanking God that the last 2 decades were not plagued with movies like this. Mickey's Mousetrap. Or what? Oh. The Mousetrap is about an arcade worker and her friends being trapped and hunted by a person wearing a Mickey Mouse mask. Wondrous plot we have here. Hello and welcome back to another review from HLHReviews. Today I will be reviewing The Mousetrap, a low-budget independent horror reimagining of the Mickey Mouse character from the Steamboat Willie short film. And just as if this movie isn't enough to grate on the nerves of people who already see this as the worst trend of horror, we're not only going to be having this movie, but a horror game and another Mickey Mouse horror film with Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, playing the character. Lucky for us.
I don't want it! I don't want it!
To basically get this out of the way, I saw the trailer for this and I immediately knew exactly the type of movie that this was going to be, because it literally looks like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, just set in an arcade with Mickey Mouse as the killer. So yeah, I had absolutely no interest in watching this. But because of how much of an improvement the second Blood and Honey film was, despite, it still not being a good film in my mind, I ultimately was willing to see if the people behind this one was also willing to, make this a fun, tongue-in-cheek, self-aware horror film like the second Blood and Honey movie was. And, after I wasted $3 to watch this on Amazon Prime, I am literally here to tell you that The Mousetrap is without question one of the fucking worst horror movies I have ever had the displeasure of watching in my entire life. I mean, to literally tell you how bad this is, or even how it's one of the worst, it literally makes the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey movie look tolerable by comparison. And I know that may sound like hyperbole, but trust me, it isn't. Before I go into my criticisms, let me make this clear, that I have no hatred towards anyone who was involved in the production of this movie that, tried their best. Whether that was the director, the producers, the writer, any of the actors, or just basically anyone on this movie that desperately tried to make this a good movie. I hope everyone involved with this goes on to do better things, and I really hope that I get to see a work of theirs one day that blows me away like, wow, that's the same person who worked on The Mousetrap? What a great career move for them. And the reason why I am saying this is because I have no buckets of popcorn to gobble, and I sure as hell do not have any gas station burritos to eat. We are going straight to the dumpster fire. And, God, I have no idea where to begin, because everything about this movie is terrible. The plot, calling it a plot is being generous, is basically about this woman who works at this Dave & Buster's style arcade place who, has her friends surprise her for an early birthday, and then you have someone trapping her and her friends at the arcade and killing them off one by one. And believe me, that literally sounds like someone would write this over a weekend. Like, oh sweet, we're gonna write a horror film about Steamboat Willie. Oh, but shit, today is Saturday, and I gotta get this script finished by Monday at 12 a.m. And the way that they set this plot up is just ridiculous. You have the manager of the arcade telling these two workers to, telling them they need to stay over because a bunch of kids arranged a party at the last minute. So then he just walks off and watches the Steamboat Willie short. And while he's watching it, you have Mickey Mouse's voice, even though it doesn't sound like Mickey Mouse, because, of course, we don't want to, go through legal ramifications from Disney. He encourages the manager to wear the mask and supposedly possesses him. And that's what sets up him trapping, these adults and kill them one by one. What is the explanation of Mickey possessing the manager, and why does he need the manager to specifically kill the workers' friends? I don't fucking know, because the movie doesn't even bother to explain that, other than to have this bullshit explanation from one of the minor characters saying, "Oh yeah, the coach, he's the manager at that arcade place, but he took one too many hits to his head." And so many of the things that they are attempting to do to make this a horror reimagining of the Steamboat Willie short are filled with the most boring and low-effort ideas you could possibly pull out of your ass to think of, because they're all derivative of every slasher film you can think of. So you have this guy just walking around wearing this mask, and he's speaking on the intercom and the phones like he's Ghostface, and even going as far as, wiping the blood off of his knife. Wow, you're really being original there. And then you just have this guy teleport for no fucking reason, like he's Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers, and he gets blinded by a strobe light, and even have him mocking victims' cries like Art the Clown. I mean, honestly, if derivative or even plagiarizing had a face as the definition in the dictionary, yeah, it would be the Mousetrap. The characters all across the board, and my god, some of the acting is just abysmal. Every single friend or the workers are seriously filled with the most derivative caricature characters of all of horror. You have drunk asshole Jock, goth girl who looks like a B-movie version of Jenna Ortega, the nerdy guy who's in love with the lead girl, couple that loves to fuck, friend who has a crush on a character that never shows up, so why should we give a fuck? I mean, not to mention how dumb as fuck the lead character is. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'll get to the characters soon enough, but they are so fucking lazy. The people behind this movie are so fucking lazy to not find someone who at least shares the same body mass as the manager, because you see this fucking stubble beard through the mouthpiece of this fucking mask, and you have the dumbest fuck lead character that doesn't even know how to connect the dots, even though she can clearly see beard hair showing out of the mouthpiece, and he even has the same body mass as the manager. And when these characters know that, he's blinded by light, they don't find the power box to turn on the fucking lights, and they don't break a window or break doors down to get out of the arcade. God, I can go on and on with this, but simply put, the characters are garbage. You'll not remember a single thing about them other than their overused caricature tropes, and you don't give a fuck if they live or die. The music does not at all sound like the Steamboat Willie short, or at least, do a scary or a horror version of the music. No, it's the most generic horror music you can possibly think of, with a couple of songs that you just simply never heard of. It's to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if the person they credited for the music just found some generic horror music from something like SoundCloud and decided to use that as their basis for the music of this film. I mean, my god, and to further going along with them being so original, you have horrible dialogue that's just taken straight out of a Scream movie, like having the nerdy guys say,
"I'll be right back." Man, he's dead.
What?
Like if he was in a horror movie, you'd never say, "I'll be right back," because then you don't.
The kills that we get in this movie, very derivative. I mean, after all, there's nothing in this film that's funny or tongue-in-cheek, self-aware, or just take things from the short and make kills out of that. No, it's just stabs, throat slits, and stabs to the head. You know, something that we've seen a million fucking times before. And just to pour salt or even alcohol on the open gaping wound, we get kills within an hour in the film. Like, I'm not kidding. It takes a fucking hour before we even see one kill. Like, my God, this is just straight up Jason Takes Manhattan level of bullshit. But look, with that to the side, how lazy do you have to be to not make fun kills by taking stuff from the short? I mean, seriously, you're already making Mickey Mouse a killer. Why can't you just make fun kills? Instead of, giving us the same shit we've seen in horror movies that did these kills 1,000 times better. You get multiple sequences in this film that amount to nothing. The film opens up with this spoof to the opening crawl of, the Star Wars movies, and I was confused on why they would open the film like this at first. But when it becomes clear that it's just for a cheap taxi gag, you look at your clock like, why the fuck are we wasting the first minute of this film with that? And you get plenty of that throughout the movie. Like, you have this nerdy guy surprised to leave with sour candy, and all that is just to tell the viewer that he has a crush on her, and nothing more beyond that. Then you have this ride sequence where one of the characters gets stuck of having to ride this ride just because, the killer put them there. And you just sit there thinking, well, I mean, is there going to be a kill at some point? But no, I mean, apparently the manager just wanted to waste both our time and the victims before he goes to pursue his ass. But the one that genuinely infuriated me is that in between the arcade events, you have these scenes of, goth girl Jenna Ortega lookalike being interrogated by these two detectives, and they're both very suspicious of, her knowing all what's been going on, even though she wasn't in the same room as the killer or even one of the victims. And as well as, how can she look at the CCTV footage even though it was completely wiped out? And so they just leave her by the end, disgusted with her. And then you have this post-credit scene where Mickey's basically like, oh, I want you to meet all my friends. We're just getting started. And then, she smiles and walks off. I mean, I guess to, not only reveal that she was in cahoots with the manager, even though she was being chased and had her ankle cut by him, but to also tease just for whatever their sorry-ass excuse of a second movie we get. So, you have this girl being interrogated by these detectives, and, you constantly get these interrogation scenes, and by the end of it, it goes absolutely fucking nowhere! Because these scenes are only there just to establish that she was in cahoots with the killer through the whole fucking time. Dude, what the fuck are you doing with this horseshit writing other than to drive me up a fucking wall? But beyond all that, nothing on this god-forsaken earth could prepare me more than the bullshit third act that they give you at the end. You have the remaining friends, as well as the lead, wanting to go town to town on Mickey, but then the red lights come on for whatever fucking reason, and then he teleports. Then they kill off the lead character, have the jock character say a cutoff line, and then it rolls credits. They just literally had the audacity to not only frame that they didn't defeat the killer and give a big middle finger by having this lead character go through all these events for nothing, And then Goth Girl and Mickey will be back for whatever we get for a second movie that I guarantee you we're not going to get. Like, they frame that as if all of that is a satisfying conclusion. Like, just killing off the lead character. And then you have basically Mickey saying the post-credit scene, me and Goth Girl will see you next time, motherfucker. Like, they expect anyone who's going to watch this that's a satisfying conclusion on any level. Oh my God. Look, at the end of the day, as much as I hate bashing on a movie, especially if it's, a low-budget film where, you have the director saying in an article that, they had fun making the movie because they were the first to make a Mickey Mouse horror film. Which, I will say, if that's the case, to whoever directed this, fine. Whatever. I'm glad you had fun making it. I just hope you don't get mad at my thoughts on your film. And don't bash me on Twitter for it. But that doesn't excuse the torturous experience I sat through. And it sure as hell doesn't excuse the fact that you made a garbage product that literally just exists to do a cheap ploy of an IP that went into the public domain, just like the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey did. I don't intend to wish failure on anyone who was involved with this, because I genuinely want to see them move on from this and they make something better. And look, at the end of the day, if it has to be the Mousetrap 2, then hopefully it's a million times better than this one, because, my God, this one deserves to be an official member of the Horrible Movie Club. And to literally explain to you how horrendous this experience was, I would rather be forced to watch the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey movie and be paid millions for that before I'd ever consider watching this again. So yeah, in conclusion, if you guys couldn't tell by this point, I despise The Mousetrap because it pissed me off and it insulted my intelligence to its core, especially by that fucking horrible third act. Look, if you want to watch something like this, go watch Blood and Honey 2. Or even if you're in the mood to be watching a slasher, watch anything else over it. Go invest your money and time on something else, because this is one of these movies that doesn't deserve any of your money and time. This is without question the worst movie I have seen all year long. And it will probably, it'll probably be the worst horror movie I have watched yet since I've seen Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, that I would rather watch over this any day of the week. Granted, even though it's a horrible movie too. To wrap this up with my rating, don't bother watching The Mousetrap, because all you'll be watching is an unsatisfactory, derivative slasher film with no fun in its concept of turning the beloved Mickey Mouse into a killer. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. Please tell me how you feel about this film down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and to see a lot more videos from me in the near future, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can get notified every single time I upload. I hope you all have a blessed life, and in case I don't ever get to meet you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.